Greetings, brothers and sisters. So just two quick things to get to, and then I have a great meme that I want to talk about and an epic comment. The meme is going to lead to something that I think is, I don't know, kind of profound. But we have these three witches, or has-beens, or ghouls, whatever, starring Bette Midler, who is, Bette Midler went after West Virginia in a way that would be considered, it wasn't about race, but it was, a form of severe prejudice, right? She talked about West Virginia because of whatever that senator's name. Don't tell me, don't care, don't need to know. But, if you see my videos, you saw that she just tweeted this stuff that was really offensive to West Virginians and saying that people where she lives and wherever it is, California, New York, are so much better, right? That's what it implied. And we know it's not the case, right? But anyways, this is a reaction video to their trailer.
Hi, everyone. We are the infamous Sanderson sisters of Hocus Pocus.
And now Hocus Pocus 2.
Now Hocus Pocus 2. They all get some lines.
We've got the trailer for our brand new film right here and are about to watch it for the first time.
No way. Oh, that's good. Bette Midler looking very dudish, right?
You know, legend has it, it's on the 16th birthday that a witch gets her powers.
Is that them or us?
That's you,
I thought. Doesn't it sound like
sounded
us?
like you. Yeah.
They don't even understand their own trailer.
Nice. That looks fabulous.
It looks fabulous. It was so fabulous. It's so great. It's not even being released as a movie. It's on Disney Plus, right? It's so fabulous. It's not even going to the theaters. Wow. Even with smiles on, it's hard to de-ghoulify.
Some
Now it's like, oh, here's our part.
legends never die. I love that.
Wow.
She loves that. She loves that because she was a legend. So just so we understand what just happened there, Bette Midler saw the line, "Some legends never die," and her co-star pointed at her, and Bette Midler is making a face where she thinks it's about her because she considers herself a legend. Like, I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that, right? Because not only is there witches, but they're narcissistic witches.
Wow.
Lock up your children!
Bette Midler's got Alec Baldwin eye syndrome, where her eyes aren't like even open anymore. So it's a Mr. Magoo thing.
Hey, it's the Sanderson sisters. I bet you're looking for the stage.
Always.
Very nice.
Woo, woo, it's so good, woo.
I think it looks great.
It's so great, woo. It's great. Okay, streaming movie event, September 30th. Disney Plus. This is the thing that Tinkerbell now becomes a plus. Tinkerbell is now just a plus. So here's some good news one of my viewers sent me. A glass of ocean water, Quebec company wins award for desalination technology.
Some experts say that desalination, the process of removing salt from ocean water to make it drinkable, is essential for addressing global water scarcity. Onika Technologies, a company founded in Quebec, says that their technology provides safe drinking water with their all-in-one desalination system that is powered by the motion of waves.
It's a fairly common technology, reverse osmosis. It's a sort of salt filter that when you apply seawater at high pressure, there's the water molecules that go through it, but the salt molecules can't. So it's kind of a salt filter. And as the wave lifts the buoy.
So this is a great idea, something positive. It has the ability to, through reverse osmosis process and the natural movement of the sea, to desalinate water and provide quite a bit of drinking water here.
There's a tether that kind of pulls on the pump, and that pump compresses the seawater. And as it goes down in the waves and it sucks in the seawater, it rises with the wave and it pumps it again at high pressure. So essentially that cyclic movement of the waves just intakes seawater, puts it at high pressure, pass the seawater through the reverse osmosis membrane, and that's how you get the drinking water, which is then sent to the coast with an underwater pipe.
So this is a cool idea, right? Especially for these places. There's lots of places that are next to the ocean that don't get a lot of rain, bizarrely enough.
Onika Technologies won the grand prize of $500,000 for its Snowflake device at a
It's a snowflake.
competition hosted by the U.S. Department of Energy. The Snowflake is a raft-like device that can be installed without tools and can produce 10,000 liters of clean water per week, enough for about 450 people.
So they have different sizes, right? This is the small one. This is the bigger one that's for like larger communities. And this is sort of a city size pump. And then they have, multiple pumps. And so kind of a cool idea. So something positive here. So I want to get rid of this off my toolbar. Somebody sent me this after school Satan clubs. And apparently there are after school Satan clubs. And it's been going on for some time now. So your kids can go to these Satan clubs when their parents are at home. And, they're associated with, like the elementary schools. They have some sort of relationship. And then they show up, they show up there to worship Satan, their little kids, or whatever they're doing over there. And so that's happening, right? Okay, so I forgot about this. One of my viewers sent me this. I'm going to put this in between the trailer or the desalination and the meme. But I'm doing this afterwards, so I don't know how I'm going to segue into it, but that's it. That's the segue. Here it is.
The numbers are from the latest poll. This is from the AP NORC poll that shows that 85% of U.S. adults say the country is on the wrong track. 85%. That's up from 68% in March. 28% of Americans approve of the president's job performance, specifically on the economy. You have made it clear.
So that's almost nobody, right? These are probably diehard Trump haters. I mean, that's almost 70. That's 70% basically. So that's an overwhelming majority. You don't get those kind of numbers. So that was the wrong video clip, but I'm glad we saw Biden's 70% disapproval on the economy. But this is the clip I wanted to show you.
Could be a long war measured in years, and I think everybody understands why this is happening. But is it sustainable? What do you say to those families who say?
So let's just acknowledge this is the gumball guy, right? This is probably my favorite CNN reporter. He used to count Trump's lies in gumballs, and he had a whole closet and a whole rack full of jars full of Trump's lies as gumballs. It's the gumball guy.
Listen, we can't afford to pay $4.85 a gallon for months, if not years. This is just not sustainable.
Well, what you heard from the president today was a clear articulation of the stakes. This is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to...
The future of the liberal world order. I've heard that before. Where did I hear that before?
And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there. False flag operations. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and there's going to be a new world order out there.
So George W. Bush coined the phrase, or at least he was the person that's credited with coining the phrase New World Order.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order. It is a big idea, a new world order. And now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
He was one ghoulish MNF-er, very stiff and weird, right? But the New World Order became something of, they couldn't say it anymore. It was out. It was, it got exposed. And so they stopped using it, but the plan still existed, right? Whatever this New World Order plan is, And the Jojo Magoo presidency has exhumed the New World Order slogan and then added a little twist, which is the liberal world order, right? So they must be either trolling right-wing truthers or they are just oblivious. I don't know which. I mean, they're capable of trolling right-wing truthers, but they're pretty oblivious. So, but the liberal world order isn't going to be any better than the New World Order. In fact, it's way worse, right? So that's that's the liberal world order. So here's the meme. I did a journalism. My wife sent me this, and it's wonderful, right? He did a journalism. And so I was thinking about this, and my wife and I were talking about this. Like, the meme is hilarious, but the problem with what's going on now, and I just made reference to the video on my other channel that's about Bret Michaels, the celebrities dropping like flies. I covered that on my Apocalaughsnow channel. And Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and that whole thing. But what we saw when this young woman went to testify, this junior Trump aide, who went up and testified and gave hearsay testimony that became a bombshell story about Trump assaulting a driver, right? Not the driver, a Secret Service driver. And he was going to, overpower these two Secret Service agents and drive to the Capitol, even though they didn't have enough assets to protect him, right? And one of my viewers pointed out, Trump hasn't driven in his life, right? He takes limos everywhere. And, the guy, I mean, he certainly isn't driving now as president, and probably doesn't even know how to get to the Capitol. And so this thing where he ended up choking the clavicles, he went after the clavicle. He's a clavicle, grab him by the clavicle. And this whole thing I'd covered before with this young woman, right? This whole story. But she heard it from a guy who heard it from the Secret Service. And so it wasn't real testimony or real evidence. And it should have been thrown out and disregarded, and journalists should have, if there was any, I did a journalism, right? If there are any real journalists, which of course there aren't, they would say, yeah, this isn't real journalism, this isn't real facts, this isn't real testimony. And the House of Representatives should have thrown it out and said, yeah, that isn't, we can't accept this story. You weren't there. And certainly, you would need to hear both sides of the story or whatever it might be. But the problem is, and that's a problem that's an example coming from the left, but it's here in the truth community, it's here everywhere, that people are so anti the other side's story. They believe that the other side is just evil. I covered this a little bit in my video yesterday, my voiceover video about, let me go see what the title of that one was. Here we are. And it was how SCOTUS screwed the Republicans, Supreme Court of the United States. But it was more, about, our whole system, a systemic issue, systemic problem. And so the problem is that people don't want to hear or believe that the other side has any valid story. It's invading relationships. It's invading, every aspect of our lives, the social system, right versus left, Democrat versus Republican. But, over things like medicines and over things like COVID, and, family members are at each other's throats and can't talk to each other anymore. And it's gotten so bad that, there's no sense of any journalistic integrity or people looking for facts or looking for common ground. And they're willing to make up information and believe anything as long as it slams the other side. So anything a Trump hater hears about Trump or a Biden hater hears about Biden that's bad, they believe. Anything they hear about Trump or Biden that's good, they don't believe, right? Because it's, and even if something's not true, they'll share it because the person's evil and it doesn't matter anyway. That's been a big problem in the truth community where people say, where truthers share fabricated information and don't care because they're like, oh, Biden's evil anyway, so it's okay to do that, right? If you've ever known anything about the Mahabharata, they had all these rules of engagement. It was a very organized, war was conducted with a sense of character and a sense of honor, all these rules that were involved. And by the end of the war, they broke every one of them because it was the end of dharma, the end of duty, the end of, that kind of behavior, right? Where now it's anything goes. And that's the kind of territory we're in now, where people hate the other side so much, they hate the people that they hate, and they feel like their group is so superior to the other group, whatever way that they break it down, that there's no sense of fair play. There's no anything that happens to the other group is okay, and anything that agrees with your confirmation bias, your worldview, is truth, right? And anything that disagrees with your point of view is false. It's really about beliefs. People are so ingrained in their internal beliefs, they warp reality. They make the facts fit their feelings, and in a way that's much worse than it ever was before. It's a common behavior. It's nothing new. But now it's just like on steroids, where people don't ever consider their beliefs might be wrong. They don't consider the other side's story at all. It's gotten really bad. I did a journalism, right? And so with that in mind, I had a wonderful comment here from a person. It was my video. I think it was this video yesterday I'm talking about. This was how SCOTUS screwed the Republicans on Roe. And so this person writes, so do you think future babies would agree with your statements? Question mark. Do you think future babies would agree with your statements? Now, I don't know what those statements are. Apparently, they were something to do with that a pro-lifer found offensive, and they thought their argument would be asking me if I think that future babies would agree with my statements. And what do you mean by that? Like, that's so stupid the way you wrote it. No, I don't think future babies will be able to understand my statements, whatever they are, right? What is this? Who are these future babies that you talk about? You mean aborted babies who will someday become people, and when they become people, they will say, I'm glad I wasn't aborted? But there will be some people who said, I wish I was aborted, right? But the majority of people will believe that it's a good thing they're not aborted, right? Most people, when they become adults, they would say, yeah, I'm glad my parents didn't abort me. Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. Not 100%, because a lot of people are, suicidal or, whatever. But most people are pretty glad they weren't aborted. And so if those are the future babies that you speak of, well, of course they wouldn't agree with the statements if I was saying they should be aborted, but I wasn't. So I don't know what the statements were. Since you didn't write the statements and you expect me to, in a 20-minute video, you expect me to figure out what the F you're talking about. Because you're so butthurt about it, you think I must be able to read into your mind and into your double-digit IQ and figure out which statements you speak of in a video that I can't remember what I might have said that would provoke this kind of response from somebody who is, got some serious challenges if they think that saying, hey, buddy, do you think future babies will agree with your statements? Like, you don't even know how to argue something, right? And again, I'm not offended. People were really upset. Somebody wrote me an Instagram message. I got a lot of comments that somebody talked about my daughter who committed suicide in a comment. I'm like, I wouldn't have shared it if I didn't think that was going to happen, right? I shared it because, I wasn't going to feel any worse because some dope made a stupid comment. Like, that's, there's this whole thing in life where, there's people who are in my, my sphere of, my social sphere in the heartfulness system, people to do with my ex, and, I'm sure they're blaming me for whatever happened, all these things. And none of those things bother me anymore. They once, they did before. But now I'm just like, whatever, because the truth is the truth. Like, I've learned that, whatever the truth is, it's not up to me or you or anybody else. The truth is just the truth. And people don't really understand what I'm talking about. The truth is whatever it is. and we can say we possess the truth, or we're closer to the truth than somebody else, but we're all, a little bit subjective, and we're all going to rationalize things and make it better or whatever. And, I don't do that. And these comments don't bother me. I don't think I've had a comment in years. Like, I can't think of one that, stung me emotionally. I mean, most of them crack me up. And, I like being able to slam people, and these comments give me the ability to do it because, the person is like, they're drawing first blood in a sense. So I don't mind these. Like the merch comments, they give me excuse to talk about merch where I, would have difficulty doing it. They all can be used to serve a purpose. These comments don't really affect me. A lot of times I get a chuckle out of them, whether I'm laughing at the person or somebody leaves a funny comment, either way, it's fine. So, you don't have to worry about commenters or I do these videos for lots of different reasons because it helps me and my channel, not because I'm like really upset by them, right? Like I certainly am not upset by somebody saying to me, what do you think future children will feel about your statements? Like it's just, what kind of mind produced that comment, right? And I bet they thought they rocked it. Like, hey, this guy, I'm going to get this guy, I'm certainly not pro-abortion. I've talked about this before, right? Like I believe life starts at birth, but I also believe that, there's a bigger systemic issue here. And there are like ectopic pregnancies where there's a pregnancy in the fallopian tubes. There are situations where the baby's not going to survive and the mom's life is at risk, right? There's legitimate reasons. Some are more legitimate than others, but they're not my decision. Like I don't get into, like I'm the decider of these things. But, our beast-like system is feasting on unborn children, on fetuses, because, that's how our system works, right? And so there's a lot more complex issues than, the stupidity behind the right to the right to choose or the the pro-life or the pro-choice people, right? These, two arguments they're embedded in a stupid left system and a stupid right system that is like riddled with hypocrisy and things that just don't make sense. It's the point of everything I was saying before, that everyone's so locked into their point of view, they can't see, or their beliefs, they can't see anything resembling the truth. They only want things that are going to agree with their beliefs. They get butthurt when somebody disagrees with their beliefs. And this is across the board. It's a big problem in the truth community. The truth community has some of the most rigid people. They claim to be waking up, but they're really just, they're just rigid about a new belief system. They get into a new belief system, they lock into it, and even if things are completely fabricated and they don't even make any sense, they're not able to see past it because they're so indoctrinated by their own desire to be right and, their own desire to, people just don't want to admit that they made a mistake or they were wrong about something. Like that's another big problem, right? It's just a mess. So, I did a journalism, right? Like this is where that's a great beam for understanding the problem with it's an internal problem where people are just, they don't have the ability to change. They don't have the ability to see the other side. They don't have the ability to, put things behind them or rise up to a higher level and don't let their emotions dominate their experience and their actions, right? That's, we all have it, but some people have it worse than others. And we just don't really like the other people. Like I find in myself, it's a never shrinking group of people that I could actually have a conversation with, right? That I could enjoy talking to. Like it's the demographic, because most truthers I couldn't have a good conversation with, right? It's, just a very small subset of people. Most heartfulness practitioners I couldn't have a real conversation with because our beliefs are so different now. And it's just, I'm different than most truthers. I'm different than most heartfulness practitioners. And so, there's always going to be something that'll be like, oh boy, you're one of those, right? Like somebody tells you something and you're like, oh boy, you're one of those, And so, people are like, oh yeah, we're all truthers. No, we're not. We're all, we're not a group, right? We just don't agree with the mainstream story, but we certainly don't agree with each other. And so, I mean, that's why it's happening. And, you know, we have to always take into consideration whether future babies are going to agree with our statements and whether we're going to make a journalism or not. Because only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romato, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.